What happens if you lose, Nick?
Who the hell is Aquaman?
I get Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, I get sausage biscuits. Maybe you guys will see a little footage of that later on because we got some good stuff.
Fill up the deuces. There you go, baby.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Cage. I'm Christopher James. I'm Christopher James. Happy to be here with you on this fabulous Thursday evening. It's 5 o'clock, and normally 5 o'clock I'm taking a nap. But today we're bringing you Cage Side with Christopher James live, brought to you by our friends at Just Heart Apparel and Just Heart Apparel East Coast. Thank you to Andrew Sams and everything he does for me and for the MMA community at large. He is awesome. Appreciate all the love. Tonight we're also going live again at 9 o'clock. We're going to have two guests from Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship tonight at 9. We are going to talk to Lorenzo Hunt. He's gone viral after a little post-fight altercation with new BKFC Cruiserweight Champion Hector Lombard. And we're going to speak to the reigning, defending, undisputed Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship and Police Gazette Diamond Belt holder in the lightweight division, Luis Baboon Palomino. That's at 9 o'clock, and then at 9:30 we'll have Baboon Palomino on. But it's 5 o'clock. It's 5:03 actually. And, you know, we were talking, I was out of town a couple weeks ago for Gamebred Fighting Championship, Gamebred Fighting Champion, GFC1. That's the hashtag we were using. And man, it was bare knuckle MMA and it was freaking awesome. Like awesome beyond belief. Such a good time. So many things happened that night. We made history with the first ever women's bare knuckle MMA fight in the history of the sport. First time in like 20 or 30 years that did some bare knuckle MMA here in the States. It was absolutely incredible, and we had a good time. And while I was in the cage announcing fights, which I love to do because that's my forte, I always love when I have a good commentary team that I can listen to in my earpiece. And I got to tell you, man, I didn't know who was coming into town. I heard this, I heard that. But then I met two men that I had never met before. One, I absolutely knew who he was. The other guy, excuse me, my ignorance, I didn't know who he was offhand, but I got to tell you, it turned out to be one of the coolest cats I've ever met in this sport, and I'm happy that I got to work with both of these gentlemen, so I'm going to bring them in for you right now. First, joining us all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, weighing in at 194.5 pounds. He is the man himself. Please welcome Mr. Matt Martucci to the show. Matt, what's going on, brother?
What's up, Chris? How are you, man?
Oh, same shit, smaller shovel, and happy to be alive. And now, before we get into anything else, we're going to bring in your verbal sparring partner, as I like to say. I stole that line from my man Michael Chavello, who I worked with for years. He is undoubtedly one of the best analysts in the sport of MMA and in combat sports in general. He knows his shit. He looks cool, he sounds cool, he acts cool, and he's from Toronto, and that's pretty fucking cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the man himself, weighing in at none of my fucking business because I didn't fucking figure it out ahead of time. Please welcome the one, the only, the incomparable Mr. Robin Black.
What's all up, nice. Looks cool, no. Is cool, no. One of the best analysts, maybe. Lives in Toronto, that part's true. But most of the other shit was lies.
I've got a question. So how did I get fucking 194 pounds and you got nothing? Like,
I don't know.
You gave me like 30 extra LBs, buddy.
I used to fight at bantamweight, but I think I'd have to cut weight to make welterweight right now.
You have to cut weight to make welterweight. That's pretty awesome. I would have to cut weight to. I would have
make
to
light heavyweight.
I would have to cut weight to make light heavyweight right now. I went to the doctor.
By the way, waiting to get into this. I felt like I was in a green room, like waiting to go on Kimmel or something. There was a countdown, and like I kind of started to like get uneasy and like breathe a little heavy. It's like this is cool.
Yeah, and then when Chris got to the point where he was like, "Yeah, I knew who Martucci was, but I never heard of Robin Black." I was like, "That's fucking crazy!" Like, I've made all these videos. I've been saying Bink for years. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, that's it, man. I didn't know who you were. I'm so sorry. Well, first of all, before we get into the reason we are here today, talk about Gamebred Fighting Championship, the historic event put on by Ori Masvidal and his crew from First Round Management and everything else. Real quick, we'll do like 2 minutes or less, I guess. Mr. Martucci, some of my people might not know who you are. So why don't you give us a little breakdown of who you are and how you got into this crazy world of commentating combat sports because, man, you got to have a love for this shit to do it.
Yeah, you absolutely do. I fell into it kind of in a roundabout way. I started out as like a college basketball, college football announcer, went to school for broadcasting. And then out of nowhere, UFC had seen a reel that I had put up back in 2016, invited me to come out to Burbank. Actually, I think Robin was also in that group to audition for Ultimate Fighter to be one of the commentators. And I kind of got the bug. I had never called fights before. I had watched some UFC, but I wasn't a huge UFC guy, and ended up just kind of getting the bug, falling in love with it. And I didn't end up getting that gig. A couple years later, I was wondering if I was ever going to get a shot again. And a friend of mine was doing Lion Fight, was calling Muay Thai, and couldn't do a fight in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I basically called me up and was like, "You need to tell these people that you've done combat sports before." And I was like, "Okay, I've done combat sports before," and it wasn't a total lie. We embellished a little bit. Calling UFC fights off a screen is a little different, but so that was kind of my introduction. I did, I guess it would have been Lion Fight 54 at the Route 66 Casino in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That was the first time I'd ever called a fight. April of, I guess it would have been 2019. So I did about a year worth of fight cards with them. Went to Italy and Sweden, and then ended up getting familiar with Sean Wheelock, who's a friend of this day, and was our executive producer on the broadcast. Yeah, absolutely.
He's the man.
Yep. And the man in the fight game for sure.
So that's the history right there, and that's awesome, man. Doing a first show in a casino. My first time doing anything with MMA, I was working for XFC, and we did our huge show in Tampa at the then called the St. Pete Times Forum. Now it's the Tampa Times Forum. They changed the names like I changed my underwear. But
so never.
Yeah, so never, exactly.
Yeah, man. We spent post fight with you. We know how you operate, dude.
Yeah, that's just something I like to do. But the first time I got in front of a crowd like that, there was 14,000 people in the venue, and I hadn't done anything before, except MC some stuff and DJ this and that and everything. And once I felt that energy, I was like, I'm never going back to the real world again. So so yours is an interesting story. Robin Black here, of course, Robin Black isn't just an analyst, he's also a member of the world of fighting because, he beat some people up back in the day. And, he might be able to beat a few people up now, probably both of us on this screen right now. Luckily, we're all in a different part of the world.
I train martial arts, if not every day, as close as I can. I beat a few people in fighting, more beat me, to be honest. But I got to fight in a lot of different ways. I fought professional mixed martial arts at a low level. I competed in Taekwondo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and other types of grappling and semi-contact and full contact striking. And I like martial arts. I kind of don't think of myself as a broadcaster still, although over time I have, I guess I was going to say inadvertently, but no, I purposefully developed the skills so that I can do the job. I can understand it. But I look at it almost in reverse. I want to try to master the understanding of martial arts and then figure out how to express that. And if I do that, then navigate broadcasting. So, a lot of people, and Matt, for example, and Wheelock, like you're talking about, these are master broadcasters. And that is a skill in and of itself. I was always like, figure out how to really understand martial arts in a different way, figure out how to relate to it and connect to it and express about it, and then work with real broadcasters and find a way to color outside the lines. And man, Matt and I worked together really well. We loved it. And he's very good at I color outside the lines, and that only works if somebody fucking built some lines, right? And so yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. I literally, there was no such thing as a baseball analyst or a football analyst or a fighting analyst. They used to call them a color commentator.
Right.
I don't think of an analyst as a role. like say the UFC or kickboxing, whatever, they think of it as a role. Here's the role, get a fighter, teach him to do the role. I think of analyst as a lifestyle, analyze things in truth, and then figure out how to make that fit in the broadcast. And it wasn't always easy, but now it's starting to feel natural. And when you work with good broadcasters, it feels real natural. And so I kind of came at it in the reverse way, but it seems to be working. And it's fun as hell.
Yeah, it is.
You guys did a good job. For those that didn't know, I mean, that was the first time you guys worked together. And if you didn't know better, and I listened to the whole broadcast in my ear, the whole show. If people didn't know better, you would think you guys had worked together, numerous times rather than meet up, rather than meet like 8 hours before we went live, and
it felt like it. It
really did. It was a good vibe, of course, with Dan Lambert there. Dan Lambert's funny. He dropped some good stuff in there. I wish we could have gotten him on with us as well. But he's kind of camera shy anyway. I was surprised he was there doing commentary in the first place because he doesn't do a lot of stuff like that. He likes to lay low behind the scenes. And but the group we had assembled, and it's funny because I think we all got hired to do that gig, within 72 hours of when they put it on. So we all flew into town, we all met, and it was definitely a good time. So we had Matt and Robin, and of course we had Dan Lambert. We had Masvidal sitting cage side. We had Dean Toole. We had Malky and Abe from First Round. And you know what we had? We had a good fucking time. It was truly one of the most fun shows I've ever got to be involved in. So we had a bunch of fights. We're going to go over the main card, and we'll start down at the bottom. There was the first fight I'm going to bring up to you guys, and this is I've done this with commentators before, and I like to get their recollection a week after, 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after, just to see how much they actually remember, because some of these guys get so busy. Some of you guys get so busy, you got to try to remember it all. So the first fight we're going to talk about is welterweight attraction. It was supposed to be a welterweight attraction, but homeboy missed weight. Eric Thompson taking on Mahmoud Sabeya. Mahmoud Sabeya is a two-time member of the Egyptian Olympic wrestling team, 7-time national team member in Egypt. He was 2-0 in combat sports coming in, having 2 MMA fights before, and he fought the week before at Icon. He defeated Eric Thompson via TKO at about minute 19 in round number 1. So let's, and we'll do this just like we do commentary with Matt leading in and then Robin coloring it outside the lines, if you will. So Matt, take us through that fight there for you and your thoughts on it.
The first thing I'll say, Mahmoud Sabeya is going to be a star. I think, he's new to the fight game. Obviously, I feel like a lot of people probably know the kid's wrestling pedigree and, what he was able to do with the Egyptian national team, and then, gaining his fame basically by speaking out against the Olympic Federation. But loves the ground game. Basically told us, right from the jump that he was going to try and take his opponent down, get him to the ground, and finish him quickly. And you said it was a minute 19 seconds. It didn't even feel like that long. It was just like takedown, bam, 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 bam. Good night. Like, see you later. I love that kid. I love his energy. I think he's going to be a talented fighter for a long, long time, and it won't be long, And this is a great promotion that we have going, and one that we just started. But it's not going to be long where if it's BKFC, whether it's UFC, whether it's Bellator, somebody's going to be knocking on that kid's door, picking up the phone and calling him.
Yeah, and he's got great management with first. I'm sorry, he's got great management with First Round management who's connected with everybody. So they're completely building this kid's star. And first time he fought, I was the ring announcer at XMMA, and I watched this kid, and my mind went, because he's incredible. Robin.
Yeah. So when you got somebody that kind of good, in an ideal world, they can do a bunch of fights, stay healthy enough, and even just because you win doesn't mean you're healthy. Sometimes you hurt your elbow, you hurt your hands, sometimes operating at 100%, you just injure your own limbs just exerting that hard. It's not natural but he was pretty calm. His nickname's Sebi, or they call him Sebi in the gym. I kind of think like, fuck that guy. He's handsome. He's super talented, right? He's likable. And he can easily walk in there and beat up 5 or 6 people in a row, 6 weeks apart. Fuck that guy. No, I actually really like that guy.
There's got to be something wrong with him. He's got to have an 11th toe or something.
Let me say that Robin meant fuck that guy in the kindest way possible.
A million people follow him
in the most jealous way possible.
Yeah, exactly. No, I actually really like him. And that's the other thing. As much as I'm being facetious, it's easy to hate people that seem to have everything going, but he's very likable, and it's not just because he stood up to the Olympic Committee, but these big, powerful institutions, like where I'm kidding about fuck Sebi, fuck these big, powerful institutions, right? So when you see somebody stand up, it would be easy to just play along. And he's like, I don't need this. Whether you don't need, Nike or a particular government or a religious institution or the Olympics or any of these powerful institutions take balls to do that. So he's kind of got everything going for him. When you take your second or your third, was it his second? Yeah, it was his second in a month. And somebody said, it is bare knuckle.
Second in a week. Yeah, second in a week. Like 10 days or.
Like he said to me, he goes, it's
second in a week. That's right.
Right before we did the weigh-ins and everything, I was walking around doing a little pre-fight video and, I'm talking to him and he goes, it's Friday night. Sabella fights. That's what it is, because he fought the Friday night before in Mexico, flew all the way back to Miami, and then, said, fuck it, I'll take another fight.
And to be honest, there's a lot of smart in that when you're already very skilled. But never mind. So they're like, we got another one for you in like 9 days. Cool, let's do it. It's like, by the way, it's also bare knuckle. Now, the first thought you have is, okay, that's scarier. But then the second thought, as quickly as possible when you're somebody like that, is that's scarier for my opponent. Right? Which I'm sure is how he thought, and it was true. All joking aside, I'm already a fan of this guy. He's got a cool vibe to him too. He's going to be a big deal. He's going to be a big deal quick. I'm sure they could sign to Bellator for 4, 5, 6 times what the UFC minimum is immediately if they chose, but they're going to have a lot of options. They'll do whatever suits them. And I'm sure we'll see him fight bare knuckle, a BKFC as well. Doesn't matter if judo was your thing. When you build the confidence and the combative understanding, you can go in and slug it out, slash up some faces. Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
And the first time I met him, like I said, was in West Palm Beach in early this year in January. We did a show. And the funniest thing about this kid, you mentioned, like, even if you're winning, you're not, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not injured. Yeah, that's right. He won his fight really quick, and then he got so excited, he jumped and he tweaked his knee. He tweaked his knee doing a celebration. Yeah. And I remember I was in the cage, and his manager, Malky, who I love to death, I'm like, Malky, he's hurt. Malky jumps up out of his chair, he's like, runs right over to check on him, because he knows the
yes, he's a human. But you also just saw your racehorse get
right. There's no doubt about it. Go get Seabiscuit right now.
That's right. Yes, he is a sweet, charming, real human being with a family and a life and everything. But he's also my fucking racehorse.
He's our fucking bell cow.
And the funniest thing about that event too was before the fights, all the ring card girls that they brought in from Head Rush, who owns XMMA. Hot girls too. I mean, really pretty girls. Like, the guys would normally be fun and go, oh my God. That's what they were doing around Sabella. They were losing their shit, and he knew it. And like, they wanted to take pictures. He goes, I don't know if I should take pictures with these girls. I'm much better looking. I mean, he owned them all, dude. His personality, his vibe is so he knows who he is. He's confident.
By the way, fuck that guy.
He's confident without being arrogant, and that's a hard thing to do. So, but man, he's going to be a star. I love him. Hopefully, we'll get to do another fight of his or two before he becomes big time and leaves us all behind. Whatever. But we'll move on. First time in history, female bare knuckle mixed martial arts. Danielle Wynn taking on Monica, the Phenomena Mom, which is the coolest nickname ever for a female fighter. Phenomena Mom. I'm thinking like a Muppet Show, but I can't remember the fucking gimmick, but with the band and everything. But anyway, and there was I can't remember the damn thing. But anyway, so Monica Phenomenon Medina taking on Danielle Wynn. Monica was the hometown favorite. She got a big pop. Danielle was 0-3 going in, looking for her first win as a pro. And we get them to the rear naked choke right in front of Masvidal. It just like fell into her lap. I had her on the show last week, and she's still like excited. I think she was going to cry again. She was so excited. But she gets the choke round one, about 2 minutes in or so. Thoughts on that fight and those two young ladies?
It was just cool. I mean, it was great, obviously, to see history end up made, like it was. But just the raw emotion. I think that, you just talked about it with Danielle Wynn. That was the coolest thing for me, just getting to see her react the way that she did. When we did our pre-fights on Thursday, you spend 15 minutes to a half hour with each fighter, and you kind of go through life story. How'd you get into this? How'd you find Gamebred? What do you think of Masvidal? That kind of stuff. And that was basically her first response was, Masvidal was the reason I did this. She was like, I wanted to be involved. That was the main reason that she ended up taking the fight, because it was a chance to fight in Gamebred's first show, and to be under that umbrella. And boy were they entertaining. And Monica Medina had I think probably a couple hundred people in the audience.
She did. The crowd popped hard for that girl.
Yeah. So like they loved her. She obviously. She had the in-arena advantage, but it didn't matter. Danielle Wynn, her parents couldn't even come down because she found out she was fighting on such short notice. So she didn't have anybody. Yeah,
just her corner.
Just her corner, yeah. And that was it. So yeah, I was impressed. And obviously she's not done. She got into this a couple years ago, basically said she just wanted to get herself in shape. It started out as a training thing, and then all of a sudden it was like, shit, this is pretty cool. Like I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm going to fight professionally. Let's go.
And there she is, and she got her first professional win at a historic event, in a historic fight, and with historic commentators calling the action, like Robin Black.
Yeah, it was cool. That was probably there were a couple of cool moments in it. She was, underdog. You said her opponent had the in-arena advantage, but sometimes that's a disadvantage.
True. That's true.
Not just the pressure of it, but the true, process reality. All week long text, hey, can you get me tickets? Hey, what time are you going to the thing? Hey, we're all meeting at the thing. Hey, that, all of that's real. And, when your opponent is sitting there just desperate to I don't think she had a professional win yet. And she was crying, and there was, anyone who saw it, there was a very, very real, visceral, reaction. I lost my first two pro fights. And I'll tell you, part of why winning is so wonderful is because losing is so brutal, painful. No one who loses a contest where they fought bravely is in reality to other people humiliated. But the human nature is you feel feelings of humiliation. When for men in particular, when our ancestors, great ancestors, 200 generations back fought, and you lost, it was fighting for food, mating partners. You were fighting for leadership of that tribe. And when you lost, you were sent out, often to wander, never having another mating partner again, eating scraps, and you were thrown from the tribe. And that's still in our DNA. The feeling of failure is brutal. But the reason you're supposed to experience it is because then when you win in a situation like this, it's so incredibly joyful. And it was cool. I was so happy for her. Still am. That was a really cool experience to chat with her after.
I like that you did the primitive culture thing there. You and Chris and I could have used an animal skin or two to cover us from the rain at Waffle House afterwards.
Yeah, it was a full. It wasn't quite a tornado. It was a.
It was a tropical storm. It was a tropical storm.
They named it
Dolores, right?
Tropical storm. I think something like that.
Right.
Yeah, we had a good time with all that. Though we survived, and if we didn't, so what? That would have been what it was meant to be. But
that's right.
Oh, and I'm looking at the clock, so we got to grow faster because I got to get Robin out of here at 5:40 at the latest because he's got to be somewhere at 5:45. All right, so the next fight, this one right here had the highlight of the night. Joshua Weems taking on, oh my goodness, excuse me. Catch my breath. Joshua Williams taking on Isaac Ruelas. Featherweight fight. Williams gets the split decision win. 30-26, 28-29, 29-28. Hold on, I got to stage. Nope, it's stuck. I knew it was coming. There it is. 30-26 was a ridiculous score. And it was for Williams. He got that score. There was no 30-26 in that fight. That was 29-28 across the board, and it was close. The split decision I had no problem with. The 30-26 I had a problem with. And that we'll get all that. But I'm gonna run this highlight right here real quick because this fucking shit, like I don't even know. So I had him on the show too, and we talked about it. He's like talking about it like it ain't nothing but a chicken wing, and I'm like, nobody does that shit. So let me throw this. Where is it? All right. So here we go. Takes me a minute to figure this shit out. So.
Oh yeah. That kid got up.
I know.
There were like 5 instances where this fight probably could have been over, maybe more.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the crazy thing about that was just how much both of these dudes just kept coming, But we talked about it a bunch. Weems, like in the pre-fight, he had shown Dan and I, stuff that he had done kind of on a whim, in other bouts that he'd had, and all of a sudden he just kind of came out and broke that out, and exactly like you said, Chris, like it wasn't anything. Like he was just going to the gym and doing a regular session.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he was treating that like the way I get up and eat breakfast. Like I do that every day. He's treating that move like it was just breakfast.
That's the way that's the only way it works. It's very counterintuitive to the rest of us, but it only works if you allow it to happen. When you don't get to throw cool things by thinking about them and X to 2 to pivot to do on this rhythm with this stance. You train it that way. It's just the same thing as like a concert pianist or like a jazz soloist or whatever. They train specifically, but when they do it, they just allow it to happen. Freestyle rap, it's the same parts of the mind, the same parts of the human brain that you train them and then you allow them to improvise. And that very relationship between the person and their own mind is the part that gets trained. It's fucking cool. Not everybody can do it. And not anyone who did it that night can do it next week. That's the other thing. That's the other thing. You got to be able to get yourself into the state where you allow that kind of, you don't censor yourself. And it ain't automatic. We've seen guys, John Jones used to fight super free. Now he fights very structured and ultra safe and conservative, right? He has changed the way he thinks and you push and you pull with that. But so it's not a default mechanism. It's not like Anderson Silva can do this because he's special. He does it because he trains, gets his mind in such a state to allow it on some nights. And on this night, that kid was accessing that. He was
all over it. And by the way, shout out to Forrest Daniels watching the show. He wanted to share this comment. I don't know if you guys can see on the screen. How fucking cool is it that we got the legend of Robin Black on the show today?
Yes.
Forrest, I'm going to leave this up there for like a 5-second pose, like Edge and Christian from WWE2. All right, Matt and Robin smile. Forrest, take a picture.
I made the ugliest face I could make.
That's it.
And we got the Sparty logo in the background there.
Absolutely.
He's a Michigan State guy.
He's definitely a Michigan State guy. And he does this all the time. He'll watch the show and he's got up on the big screen. Then he'll take a picture of something that happened in the show. And sometimes I'll say, Forrest, take a picture. And he always sends it to me, post about me. I love this kid. Cool. Wesley Golden and Javanis Ross. Wesley Golden is the fighter's fighter. His record is, beyond upside down. And it doesn't stop the guy from coming out for a fight. He said he's never going to quit. Because he wants his newborn son, Phoenix, to always know that daddy was a guy that always put in the effort. Win or lose isn't the issue. Doing what you want to do, following through on a dream and accomplishing it, even if, the results aren't perfect, you're still living that dream, and he wants his son to understand that. So that's why he said he'll never stop fighting. He took on Javanis Ross, who had gone from featherweight to light heavyweight in the course of, since we last seen him. And Wesley Golden beat him. Wesley Golden was so happy, beat him with that armbar. But do you remember a couple of moves Ross did in there? I mean, he's doing like cartwheel kicks and jumping up off the for a guy that had just literally come off the couch because it was the Masvidal card, to be able to still go in there and do it, 60 pounds heavier than he ever did it before and perform decent. I'm not going to say it was his best show, but he did some shit in there. I didn't see him do it fucking featherweight. So I was like, look at this guy. He's like a video game now. Quick thoughts on that one, guys.
Look, I mean, when we met with him the day before, it was exactly like you said. Just got off the couch. I don't know when the last time was. I hit a pad, held a pad. The last time I kicked a bag. The last time I did this. The last time I did that. Dan and Robin and I think looked at each other pre-fight and we were like, what are we gonna get? What exactly is this gonna be like? Like, this kid hasn't fought forever. He's clearly out of shape. What's this gonna be? So.
Yeah,
but it worked out. Like I give the kid credit. He hung in there. He hung in there a lot longer, I think, than we thought he would.
Yeah. It was
the
a great
second
fight.
round.
Sorry about picking this guy up. He's 15 and he's old and weird, and sometimes he starts to whine. And I don't know what's worse, whether he makes his appearance here with his tongue hanging out or just whines in the background.
Robin, you said you weren't going to tell anybody that you thought I was old and weird on the air, man. I'm a little upset that you said that, bro. And you're using the dog as a prop. Using the dog as a prop to shoot at me, dude, that's fucked up. No.
Yeah, one of the first things that made me laugh when Robin and I started following each other on Instagram. I love my wife and my dumb dog.
He is a dummy, aren't you? It's true. My little dumb dog, he's old now. I don't know how long he's got, but he's doing all right. Wesley, so I think somehow we fucked up the message, all of us, in the world when we started thinking that winning is all that matters. And the consequences, the result, the outcome, we make a big deal out of. This guy won. This guy's on a 10-fight winning streak. This guy got a knockout. This was the fastest knockout. This is the most knockouts. Because it isn't, real life isn't about only winning, because the whole world isn't all going to be the heavyweight champion of the world or the #1 rapper or the best fucking football player or make the Raptors or whatever. We're going to live normal lives. And to live them well, we have to put in effort, try, fail, try again, learn, drive yourself, inspire your kids. That's Wesley. That's why I fucking love fighters like that. And to some degree, it is frustrating. You'll see somebody who is afraid to try at home will see a guy with a lopsided record as evidence that it's better not to try. See, that guy tried and failed. That's craziness. Or somebody, will go for something and then come up short and end up, losing or being knocked out or failing at something. And it's not evidence that it was better not to try, because trying and failing is always better than not trying. And then sometimes you stay with something long enough, you get really fucking good at it. And then Wesley puts in a performance like that. This is life. And fighting is awesome, but I also watch it, analyze it, like to talk about it, because we learn how to live our lives watching these guys.
And I'll quick say, for folks that haven't watched Robin before, this is my first time working with him. That's one of the things I appreciate the most about Robin Black is his ability to think about things on a macro level. And to think a little deeper, I think, than most of us do about this stuff. Robin, you keep me on my toes, in broadcast, because sometimes you say stuff that's sometimes way deeper than my mental capacity, and I'm like, shit, I need to actually process what Robin just said there, because that was that was pretty deep. And
thanks, thank you. So this is going way off on a tangent, but a lot of what we do, whether we talk about football or baseball or fighting or the news or politics or whatever, is the world is super complicated and nuanced and sophisticated, and we make it into sound bites and narratives, and we act like that's the real world, and it isn't. Fighting isn't just big right hand. He fell down, dished out some ground and pound. Oh my God, it's all over. We got a new contender in the middleweight division. That all sounds great. And that's us doing our job in the moment. But that's not real life. Real life's super complicated and nuanced and stuff. But thanks for the kind words, man. I believe, and I feel like some of the time I'm proving that this might be so, I believe we can approach people punching and kicking each other in the head as something much more meaningful. And I do that, and sometimes people like it. And people are hiring me to do it. We talked about bare knuckle fighting.
Yep.
And we talked about it in a meaningful, inspiring way. And a lot of the audience, most of the response was positive. And that's fucking cool that we can do that. And people liked it.
Yes,
yeah, they dug it. I mean, like everybody I spoke to said, they enjoyed the commentary, and it was good stuff. So, again, everything about this show, even though short notice, some of the fighters short notice, they put this together in 3 weeks. The show was fucking awesome. It's going to go down as one of the highlights of my life because it was such a cool experience. And hopefully we all get to work together again. We had a guy on the beginning of the card, Mahmoud Sabeya, who's confident but not arrogant. Then we met this guy named Joel Bauman. And this guy, we didn't know a lot of, I didn't know a lot about him. I know you guys didn't know a lot about him either. You have to do your research on site and, run with it. But this guy is beyond confident. He went out there, got himself a knockout, round 1, 3 minutes, took out Brandon Boss Hog Johnson. But the confidence this guy has about life, more so than fighting. Like, fighting is something that he just does because he's good at it and he can make some money to fund other things, and he's going to be the UFC champion. He told us he's going to be the UFC champion. He told us he's going to be, taking limited fights. And if you want to fight, you better get in line now. He even told us at the bar after at the Hard Rock, and I've got it on video, and I will pop it up one day. Robbo was sitting right there. He said he's going to be the man to dethrone Israel Adesanya. And you know what? Some guys say shit like that, and you just go, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, great time. When do you see it next time? When he said it, it hit me in the feelings. Like he's got something about him that I'm sucked in. Let's talk about his fight real quick and your thoughts on this guy because uber confident. And I thought he was a cocky son of a bitch, but he's not cocky. He's just as confident as Mahmoud, and he believes in what he's doing, and that's why he's accomplishing things.
Robin, you want to start on this one?
So I will say this. All of what he believes is super possible, and really having goals and dreams and being motivated and driven and believing in it is key. But the biggest key will be that he must fail because he will fail, and how he handles that will be, if he will be defeated, it will not be as an undefeated fighter. It will be as somebody who will have had a dramatic setback because that has to happen. Because this is it is just not a sustainable thing that belief, confidence works inevitably forever. The setback is there. You get a reality check into, okay, I don't control the whole universe. I control myself. And then how you deal with it. I have a feeling he'll deal with it well, but it'll have to happen. He may not believe it. He'll listen. I love the kid too. I just absolutely do. But he may listen to this and be like, no, he doesn't understand. I've heard that 1,000 times too. I've heard 1,000 people say to me, Robin Black, you don't understand, man. I'm going to beat this guy. And it does happen occasionally. And when it does, it isn't they were more confident or they believed harder or firmer. It's because they handled the setbacks the best, and it was driven by process and hard work. And this guy has the hard work and he has the skill. The setback is inevitable. How he handles that when it happens, not if, when, that will dictate if he accomplishes everything he dreams of. I love him though. It can happen. I just want him to fail so that he gets the key element of that process. That'll take him to the next point.
And it's funny. He would understand when you say that you say you want him to fail. Most people, if they heard you say that, they'd be like, "Fuck you, Robin Black. Why do you want me to fail?"
Robin Black's a dick. Robin Black's a dick.
Yeah, that Robin Black guy, fucking damn it. Yeah. No, but this kid, Bauman, he understands. I had him on my show last week as well, and we went deep, dude. I mean, we did a deep dive with this guy, and I started out the interview. I'm like, "Hey, listen, dude. You're a talker. So before you go off on a rant outside of the fighting, let's stick to the fight game first." He started laughing because he goes, "I know, man." But there was so much vibe and feeling there. Matt,
Mhm.
what was your take on him in the fight?
Yeah, I mean, uber confident. I think it's kind of ironic that we're doing this show on Thursday, July 1st. You know, the day after. I guess was it the day after or was it today? Name, image, and likeness went public.
Yeah.
You know, for college athletes because.
Yep. 2 days ago, I think it was.
Yeah, this kid was a 2-time state champion. Minnesota wrestler in high school. Went to the University of Minnesota, sophomore year. He's into music. He puts up a song on iTunes. People are buying it. The NCAA steps in, says, "Hey, you're a student athlete. You've got, God forbid, you profit off of your name, image, and likeness. Take it down." He says, "Go pound sand," and his last 2 years of eligibility end up going up in smoke. So his college career ends up over after his sophomore year. So, I mean, it's a kid who's already dealt with some adversity on that level,
and dealt with it well.
And dealt with it well, yeah. Because
incredibly well.
Most people would have been like, screw the world, like the hell with the world. I'm not coming back from that. And basically says he's going to be here 2 to 3 years. He's going to do this quickly. And yeah, Robin, I mean, you're right. He might need one setback, one more. And then there's going to be a crazy jump. But I loved what I saw from him against the guy in Boss Hogg who he fought Doolittle, in BKFC, and Doolittle basically told him, I hope I don't see you again, dude. So, I mean, it took a veteran fighter and I wouldn't say made quick work of him, but he
made quick work of him.
Yeah, kind of made quick work of him, and I love Brendan Johnson. He's a guy I'll root for the rest of my life. Like
forever.
He's an awesome dude.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna run these two quick because we have 2 minutes left of Robin time. We might get 3. Brock Weaver and Cliff Wright in the co-main event. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do, Robin? We're gonna have you do these 2 fights, and then you can go ahead and dip, and me and Matt will finish out without you. So first, the Brock Weaver versus Cliff Wright, and then you can roll right from that into Jason Knight versus Charles Bennett. Mr. Robin Black?
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
So Brock Weaver, man, I like that guy too. So we were talking about confidence and all these things. That guy's driven by passion, right? Yeah. People think passion is like, I love something. It's not only that. It's partly that. But it's just like, that's what he is, right? Like, this is what he is. I love guys like this. Like, one thing about him is he's just fucking authentic. People are like, well, he dresses up in face paint. That's because he needs to. Right? Like, that's who he is. He talks this way. That's him. When people try to put this on, they try to have a costume, they try to speak a certain way, it's horseshit. With him, it's all real. And he fights like that. He fights with passion. I love him. I'm a fan for life. I was already before I was there, but then when you're right there, you see it, it's real. And then the main event was awesome. It was what you expect when you have a young, badass in his home. First, he gets clipped with 2 hard punches, nose broken, because he's facing a veteran who people, they call him a felony now. They used to, he's fucking like he's a badass. And again, that's the part where the audience sometimes doesn't quite understand what it is that you're seeing. Yeah.
Don't say his old name. Yeah. Don't say the other name.
Yeah, he'll appear here if I say it 3 times.
I'm just gonna say,
it's like
we're talking about felony
Candyman.
Yeah, we're talking about felony Charles Bennett and nobody else. It's felony Charles. Felony Charles.
Yeah, he's legit. He's a badass. He can knock out 100%. Anybody of his weight in a class or 2 above, and he hurt. His man, and it was fun. It was fun. It was what you hope from him, and anybody who fights felony Charles now, they're like, oh yeah, right, shit. He almost took out a kid, who is on the top of his game. Like, you have to remember that when you say yes and you accept the fight with him. And the audience will remember that. If they see this, they'll remember that the next time felony Charles fights, he'll be like, oh, fuck, man, that's real. 1 more millimeter to the other way, turns his hip just a little more on that one, and he wins the fight. And the Biloxi, Mississippi arena where we were just tears the place apart, right? They would, because that's what he instigates.
Yeah.
They would lose their shit.
He's still valid, right? He's still valid. He's still a danger. He's still a character. He'll still bring it. It's still a dangerous fight. There's still lots of uncertainty. Like, I liked it. It was fun. And it capped for a really awesome night. And yes, I do have to go. But
I know you
honestly, one, working for, like everybody else said, getting to do that for Jorge was special, and all the people were awesome. But honestly, making 2 real, legit, good friends and people I'm going to work with a lot, that was the best part, and I mean that.
Who are you talking about? I mean, because
Melanie and
is this the part where you disappear? The smoke just goes.
Yeah.
Like,
Actually, I did something with Chael Sonnen the other day.
Like Kelly LeBrock, like Kelly LeBrock and Weird Science.
Actually, I did something with Chael the other day, and I said, Chael, I've enjoyed this immensely. Thank you. Because I wish I could say the same. Slam. Slam. But I got to go, guys. But this was an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait. Let's do this part, just the 3 of us jamming together in a couple weeks. Yes?
Absolutely. Well, listen,
I love it.
Black, it was an honor meeting you face-to-face and working with you. Thanks for taking the time to do my, my little show right here. I definitely appreciate it. Have fun with what you're doing today, and God bless.
Waffle House next time. I'm buying next time.
All right, he's buying next time. So we are done with Mr. Robin Black. Matt, Robin Black is just a cool fucking dude, man. He's like, I'm not, he goes, I'm not cool, I'm not good. He's a cool dude, man. He just is. I like the guy. When I found out he was working, I was like, shit, that's gonna be Robin Black. I'm in this motherfucker. When I heard your name, I was like, No. Hey, listen, I didn't go. Who the fuck?
You know I'm a movie guy, straight out of Major League. Take a look at this guy.
Yeah, you've been dropping some beauty gem comments today from different movies. I'm digging it. And you pulled up the Weird Science, Kelly LeBrock, Anthony Michael Hall. I don't remember Wyatt was the kid's name.
Yeah, Wyatt kind of faded. Wyatt faded away. I don't know what the hell happened to Wyatt. It's a great Bill Paxton role, though. God rest his soul.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like Wyatt faded away, and Bill faded away. From Ted. I mean, Ted went on to be.
Right. Yeah, Keanu had a pretty good run. Still having a pretty good run.
He's still fucking. I was talking about him the other day at work with somebody because somebody at work at the club I work at. We were talking about what if you got to shoot somebody? I was like, well, He goes, I don't want to kill anybody. I go, well, no, man, you just be like the A-team and shoot 1,000 rounds and miss everybody. We don't want you to be Keanu and kill everybody, And it was just so funny because the A-team, they never shot anybody.
Nobody ever got hurt. No one ever got hurt. Like,
how the fuck does that happen?
BA would come in and be like, Hannibal. And then they'd run over something with a truck and a bunch of shit would explode. But then everybody would still be standing.
But even when they had a gunfight, they'd be shooting off shit and nobody's getting hit. Fuck, dude. If this is the A-team, how are we still a free country? Because these fuckers can't do shit. I just don't get it, man. The A-team? Fuck it, that's not even right. What'd you think of Rampage being BA in the film version? You know
what's funny, dude? I was such a big fan of the series itself because I grew up with that.
My ringer is the A-team, just so you know.
It was on. No, that's awesome. It was on afternoon TV, after cartoons. When I would get home from school sometimes. It would be the A-team and Hogan's Heroes and.
What's fucked up, Matt? I got to cut you off and say this.
Yeah.
I got to say this. That you're saying you're watching in the afternoon. When I was watching that show, it was primetime TV.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, buddy.
It's all right, man. Chronologically, I'm a little different.
So I didn't. It's funny. I've seen bits and pieces of when they actually brought it. With Bradley Cooper and all those dudes. Yeah. I couldn't even give you a good review on Rampage's performance
because you haven't seen the whole thing.
I never actually sat down and watched the whole thing because I was a bigger fan of the show. Sometimes I don't know, man. You think of I love Point Break, and then they remade Point Break.
Didn't like the remake.
Yeah, some of the remakes just aren't as good. So
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
That one sucks.
That piece of garbage.
What a piece of trash that movie.
Garbage. I know it was a little closer to the book, man, but you know what? What they should have done is they should have if they wanted to redo the movie because of the modern technology and computers and the way they could have really done it for us, in the old style, and they could have had Michael Richards, aka Kramer, play fucking Willy Wonka. He would have been the perfect guy to do it.
The Johnny Depp Tim Burton angle was just it was too weird. It was just too weird.
I don't like remakes of some movies. I mean, that one was bad. Point Break, I didn't like that either. My boy Forrest here, he goes, they're coming out with Matrix 4 with Neo back in it somehow. How the fuck does that happen?
Well, it's funny because I was thinking by the time my kids are grown, I have 1 and 3-year-old daughters. By the time that they're grown, they'll be making like John Wick 15 geriatrics, or like geriatric battle or something like that. Like,
We're gonna have John Wick jokes that will fucking equal to Chuck Norris jokes today. That's what's gonna happen.
Right, exactly.
John Wick,
Exactly.
But yeah, how does Neo come back? I don't even understand that, man.
I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, have you seen, since we're talking about movies and we had mentioned Rampage, there was a horrible movie. I can't even remember the name of it, that Misha Tate and a couple other MMA girls were in.
I can't remember. Yeah, I know what you mean, but I didn't see it. I did not see it.
Dude, I don't.
She's what are we, 3 weeks from her? Is she's scheduled? She's still scheduled to come back, right?
Yeah.
17th.
I think it's the 17th.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to be.
You could be right. You may be crazy though, as Billy Joel would say. You may be right. You may be crazy. So, but
Just
yeah, no, I think it's the 17th. Oh, so turn out the light. Oh, see, you died on me right
now. No. I know this song. For all
you know,
may be wrong. For all I know, you may be right. Yeah.
Nobody else knows what the hell we're talking about.
I know, that's right. But that's what makes it great, because it's organic, and you and I get the joke. So
yeah,
maybe somebody will look up the lyrics to that song and be like, "Shit, I just learned something."
I bet you Forrest probably knows it. Forrest, this guy Forrest Davis has been following my show, my page, and everything for years. One of my best supporters, and I love him to death. He makes picks, every week. He puts out his UFC picks. He doesn't really pick much of the other stuff, but his UFC picks. And I got to say, this kid's winning percentage is it pisses me the fuck off. I'm just going to say it like that. It makes me fucking, he was singing along with us on the song. He just commented. But he makes me sick. This kid fucking, I don't know if he's got a job. I don't know what the fuck he does, but I think he's fucking.
Yeah, he's a professional handicapper. That's what
he's fucking sandbagging us. Yeah. That's what he's doing here, fucking. But he always says he doesn't gamble. Then he said to me the other day, he sent me a message, and I'm putting it out there. He told me the other day that he might start betting on fights, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy should probably start betting on fights. Maybe not big chunks here, but little bits here. Based on his track record, he's doing good. And he not only gets the winners right, but like a lot of times he's getting the finish right. And I'm like, this fucker. So, I should bring him on my show as my secret analyst and put him like the Alfred Hitchcock fucking shadow out, so nobody can see his face, to protect his identity in case, he gives out a bad bet. But yeah, dude, he's fucking awesome. He's fucking awesome. He supports everything, and now that he's watching you, he's going to find you on Facebook, and he's going to support you too, because
love it.
He supports good people. He does.
I need all the help I can get at this point. So,
he doesn't bust my balls too much about it like some other people do, but like, I'm a huge John Jones fan, and I'm an avid John Jones supporter. Do I condone the fact that he got into an accident and left the scene? Of course not.
No.
But do I understand why he ran away? Well, he's a big star. He's got millions of dollars. He was fucking smoking some weed in the car, was high, hit somebody. Accidentally, people wanted to put him in prison and give him the death sentence. And, he made a mistake. He was a young man who did something stupid. He paid for the mistake, move on. All the cocaine jokes, fucking goddamn, people fucking just can't let shit die. But the big thing is, and I don't know your take on this. So, again, this is organic. This is coming right off the hip.
Yeah.
He technically, he doesn't have any drug convictions on his record. The first suspension was for stupidity of not disclosing about the dick pill. And that's what he got suspended for. And then the last one, they were never able to prove anything wrong on getting sentenced. So again, he got suspended for stupidity, not necessarily for drugs. Now, I am not a scientist. I am not a doctor, nutritionist, anything. I'm not a coach, trainer, or all that stuff. What I do know is that when the science that is being reported as the factual information says he didn't do it, guess what? As far as I'm concerned, he didn't do it. They could never prove Barry Bonds did anything. His head got big. But they never were able to.
He was a Hall of Famer pre-steroids anyway.
Absolutely,
so,
he was.
He wasn't hitting like 50, 60 home runs, but he was he was good for 25 or 30, and and 100 ribbies in Pittsburgh, and the beginning of his time in San Fran.
Absolutely.
So speaking of which, it's Bobby Bonilla Day, I think.
Absolutely, Bobby Bonilla Day, fucking the best fucking deal in baseball. He will be 72 years old when this contract runs out.
That's just insane.
And he would have been on this contract for 35 years, totaling out $42 million. I put a post about this on my page today because I always love Bobby Bonilla Day.
Happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
This year I clipped Adam Schefter. I screenshotted his post about it, and then I just put my own stuff on it because, and I know this was a deferment deal, kind of everything, but Bobby Bonilla was smart enough to understand it, and the people that he had with him at the time were smart enough to understand it. So he's making money, I mean, maybe to him $1 million a year for nothing is nothing because he's made so much money. But man, if I can make $1 million a year for fucking sitting around doing nothing for 35 years, I'm in. I'm fucking in.
Absolutely.
And it's still got to like pain the Mets. They've gone through ownership change and everything, and they just got to take this fucking contract with him and just pay out on it, man. I wonder if like he would say to them, all right, listen, man, just pay me all of it right now and I'm good. And then just end the madness. Or keep Bobby Bonilla Day forever.
Is it more cost effective for them to do it this way? Like rather than, I guess one year it would really suck. It would really, really screw up your budget and your bottom line.
Right.
I guess if you really wanted to get it over with, you could, but $1 million a year spread out over X number of years, probably, I don't know. I would think for the bean counters probably makes a little more sense.
I think this should be an official Major League Baseball holiday. I think, because of the uniqueness of it, it's never going to be anybody else doing anything like this. I think they have to just dedicate a day to Bobby Bonilla in Major League Baseball. July 1st every year is Bobby Bonilla Day.
Bonilla Day.
Yeah, and like, at every stadium across the country on that day, everybody gets a Bobby Bonilla bobblehead. That's it. Just do it. Fucking A, baseball. Get your shit. I would go to a game. Actually, I'm going to a game.
Dollar dogs for Bobby Bonilla Day.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Maybe dollar dogs.
He gets 1.92. He gets 1.92 million. So for every fucking hot dog, it's $1.92. Beers are $1.92. I mean, that dude. That's brilliant.
There
dude.
you go. Somebody in the marketing department was like, "That's genius."
Yeah, somebody's watching this right now, and they're going to go tell them, and they're going to make money off our fucking idea. That's how this world works.
That's usually how it works.
Yeah, and if you get screwed, you throw something out there. You didn't mean to throw it out in the universe, and someone goes, "Go trademark that right away." Fucking, they go online. Is that a website yet? Click it up. I mean, it's just like that.
Just like that.
So, we got to go back to these two fights. So we let Robin dip out. Brock Weaver and Cliff Wright. What was your take on that? I worked with Brock for a long time at Island Fights. I watched him ascend his way to the UFC, into the Contender Series, into the UFC. It didn't go his way in the UFC. And he's got, a new dedication to his career. The last couple of fights, at Icon, and then here, he's really put on performances. The old Brock Weaver is back. So somebody that's watched the ascension up close, I'm loving what I see. Yep. For you, this is your first time. I'm sure you've probably seen fights of his before, but first time being live with him and commentating his fight. So give me your take on his performance, and then, of course, the man himself, Brock Weaver.
Yeah, I mean, performance-wise, talking to Cliff Wright, the day before, one of his biggest concerns was he going to be able to withstand kind of the energy burst, that is Brock Weaver and everything he brings to the table, out of the gate. And that had he had maybe more than 2 or 3 days notice, that might have been possible. But when you're fighting Brock, I would think for the other fighter. I mean, I've never fought the guy. I've never fought professionally, period. But I would think it's got to feel like a marathon from the other fighter's perspective. So I was impressed at just how this guy kept coming, just kept coming and coming and coming, and eventually just ended up wearing Cliff Wright down, and he did it early. Like he was posturing up against the cage like early on, and you could see Cliff Wright, like I don't know, it might have been like a minute into the fight, minute and a half into the fight, and like you could already see Cliff like gasping for air, and that might have been different, again, had he not taken the fight on such short notice. But yeah, I was really impressed with Brock right out of the gate, and then knowing his backstory. I mean, you hear him say it all the time. Fought in the UFC, still broke.
Yep.
The fact that he obviously lives on the reservation over in McIntosh, Alabama. Population like 300 people. His wife and his 10 dogs. Like, he's just an awesome story. Chet told me he changes his face paint every time. For like every area that he's fighting in, depending on what Native American tribe is actually in that area. So, obviously Brock's Choctaw, and had said that Mississippi, there was a pretty big concentration. So he ended up still doing Choctaw face paint.
Yep.
But I love the kid's backstory. Love everything he brings to the table. I think he's a great personality. Thought he kind of, 3 fights kind of ended up with a kind of a raw deal UFC. But you and I know sometimes when Dana says that, that's what you get, that's what you. It's kind of like it's
Yep.
like the old cliche from that play. You get what you get, and you don't get upset.
That's it.
You get your 3 fights, you get your chance to prove yourself, and if it doesn't work out, well, you kind of have to build it back up again and get yourself back. And talking to this guy and spending the half hour with him that we did on Thursday, I believe that he'll get there. There are a lot of years left in Brock Weaver's career.
Absolutely.
And a lot of good fights. And that was just another example of another one. What is now, God, it's already 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
2 weeks ago tomorrow. So.
Yeah. And the thing is, going back to what Robin was saying about, sometimes you have to have that epic fail. Brock went to the UFC, and it definitely was not his brightest moment of his career. He really hit a wall hard there, and now he's back. He's back being Brock. He's focused on the right things in the fight game. He's living above the gym at American Top Team, and that's all he does all day long. So.
Yeah, Dan. I mean, that was one of the first things that Dan had said. Pre-broadcast, he was like, "I love this kid." He was like, "I love, just his dedication to this, and what he's putting in." Because he hasn't been down there that long. I mean, it was only in like the last few months, right, that he ended up coming down there.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean,
story.
Yeah. I mean, I think, potential wise, and, agree or disagree. I think he's still just scratching the surface of what he's capable of. And this platform, bare knuckle MMA, may be tailor made for a guy like Brock.
Yeah, I think it's something that he's going to grow with. He did beat KFC already. He's done the UFC. He's doing this. He's just going to take fights, and he's like I say, he's focused, he's motivated. So I think your assessment of him is dead on balls accurate. I told you my boy Forrest would take a picture there. I was waiting for you to laugh when I was doing trying to get you to crack.
I wasn't looking at it. So I've got my Mac, I've got my MacBook, and I'm trying to be the guy that continually looks at the light, just looks forward and isn't looking off screen. So I was trying to I could see it, but I didn't want to be that guy that's like, oh, okay, there it is on the screen.
That's okay. You can do that.
Yeah.
See,
yeah. No.
On this level, I'm the executive producer, and we can do whatever the fuck we want.
Do what we want.
We're not working for Wheel Lock. We don't have to be uber professional. And here's the thing: it's not that we have to be. It's that we want to be. Of course. Sure. And I definitely want to make sure that Sean Wheelock, likes what I do. I love the guy. He's one of my guys that I look up to, for advice and everything. So he's killer cat. All right, so let's get that funny looking screen out of there right now, and let's go back to, boom, full size us. You know what I hate when some people do it like this, and they have the black background, they put all this stuff behind them. I'm like, look, I got a little logo up there for one of my sponsor, and then I just and I can put that up when we're full size. I like people to see our faces, when they're talking to us. So one little thing up in the corner, that's it. I don't like to dilute the screen with all the other crap. Now the final fight, main event. Bennett and Jason Knight, Robin was talking about that. And, the thing that got me was that, and I always say this, exactly what Robin said, Charles Bennett is still viable. He's still somebody that you have to be aware of. He is dangerous. And, this is the man that knocked out Vanderlei Silva, and nobody believed him. And then the truth finally came out early this year or late last year. And I always believed him when he told me. I knew him back in his previous life when he wasn't felony Charles Bennett, when he was some other guy.
He was the other nickname.
The other guy, yeah.
He was he who must not be named.
Correct. And so I've known him for a long time. And, he told me the first time I met him, and I was like, fucking right on, dude. I mean, who am I to say, fuck you, you're full of shit? First of all, you don't say that to a fighter, fucking that's got, the ability to just grab you and snap your face off, when he wants to. Luckily, he's a little more professional than some other people. I'm actually going to ask you about that in a minute too, so we're going to talk about that. But give me your take on this fight. Jason and Charles. Charles dropped him. Charles straight legit dropped him, put him on his knee, and I don't think anybody expected that. And myself, I wasn't surprised because, again, I've always believed Charles is still viable. His last two fights, this one and the one before where he fought Tyler Goodjohn at BKFC, a lot of people feel he won that BKFC fight. I'm in that camp. I think he beat Tyler Goodjohn. So, people, sleep on him. And you shouldn't, because, he's still viable. I mean, don't get me wrong. People bring him in because he's still got a good name. People like to watch him. He's a little crazy. The weigh-ins, the antics with him and everything, fucking hysterical. He's doing somersaults in front of Brock Weaver and all this just crazy fun. And that's why you love having him. And the fact that he can still bring it, I love him.
So do I. I mean, it was my first experience with him in person. I'd obviously seen him fight, a handful of times before, but I didn't know what I was getting into. I remember that was one of the subjects of our broadcast open.
Should he come in with? Should they give you a warning? Should there be a warning label attached? Hey, you're about to commentate a felony Charles Bennett fight, and
this
week.
This is what you're walking into. Just be prepared.
A disclaimer.
I mean, dude,
you need a disclaimer in your contract,
Chris. We do our pre-fight interviews, and I'm recording them. I'm recording them on my iPhone on the voice memo thing. And Dan's sitting across the table from me, and Felony walks in, and he's got his iPad or his iPhone or whatever, and he's live. He walks in and he's live on his iPad, as we're starting pre-fight interviews. And he sits down and he looks at me and looks at Dan and is like, "Don't know these motherfuckers." I'm like, and Dan's like, "Hey, how you doing, Dan?" And I'm like, "Hey, Matt." And he's like, "All right, now I know these motherfuckers." So I was like, okay. That was my intro to Felony Charles Bennett.
That's what he does. He walks around with that. He's live all the time. We were at a fight week.
He's a live wire. He's a live wire.
We were at a fight week. I think we were in Fort Lauderdale, and he's down there. It wasn't with the UFC. He was down there with the fights. I think one of his teammates from some gym he was working at was fighting. But he shows up at the host hotel after the fights. And we're all hanging out, and fucking Michael Bisping's there, and fucking, everybody, Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, the whole crew, everybody's there. Fighters are walking in and around, and, we're just chilling, having a good time. And we're sitting out on the patio, and I'm smoking a cigarette. I'm talking with Bisping, who's, a little tipsy at this point. He asked me for a cigarette. I gave him one. We sat there, and we smoked a cigarette together and everything. And then here comes Charles Bennett walking in, right? Camera on, he goes, I'm not going to say the word. He goes, he's live on his phone. He goes, "Look, my N-word. It's Mike Bisping. Look at me, Mike Bisping." And, boom, boom, boom. And he's all this, and he's blazing a big old joint on the patio of the thing, and he's just walking around having a good time. And he's harassing Bisping. He's like, "Michael Bisping, you need to sign up and follow my channel, subscribe to my YouTube." And he's giving all the information. And Bisping's like, "I ain't doing it. You're fucking crazy." Blah, 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 blah. And as soon as Felony walks away, Bisping leans over to me and goes, "I'm going to follow that channel, right, mate?" And I'm just like, he goes, "How can you not? The guy's fucking crazy."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so that's how I see him all the time. Any event.
I mean, his YouTube channel, he streams his NBA 2K, him playing the game. And I mean, you want personalities. And I mean, we were talking about, and who was it before? We were just talking about Brock Weaver. He's authentic, he's real, and same can be said. Little eccentric, felony Charles Bennett. But you know what? Like, I like the guy. You know, he brings a lot to the table when you're getting ready to call his fights. And, you know, you asked me what I thought about the fight. Perfect example, day before during interviews, Jason Knight said, you know, like, I know, like, I'm walking into this knowing that I could lose. And if I lose this fight, I'm not getting another shot. Like, I'm not getting another shot on a bigger platform. This is it. So he said, and that's the dangerous thing when you fight felony, because a lot of people, they do what is human nature. They look at a fighter's record and they're like, oh, well, this dude can't fucking fight. And then, like, you know, guy gets in the ring, or guy gets in the cage, I should say. And, you know, you're like, wow, you know, this guy has a lot left in the tank. I mean, he dropped him quick. And, you know, Jason Knight will be the first one to tell you he's not exactly the most defensive fighter in the world. You know, his face kind of is evidence, but you know, I think he surprised him even with what he ended up doing that early. So the fact that then that was kind of like the story of the night. I felt like there were a couple of instances where you felt like fights were over, like that Ruelas Weems fight that we were talking about, and then it was like, oh shit, like this just totally flipped the script. So, you know, I mean, I don't think I was expecting, even after he got busted up, I didn't think Jason Knight was going to lose, you know, 3 miles down the road from his hometown. No. But I also wasn't expecting that either. So I give both those guys a lot of credit. It wasn't the longest main event, but you know what? We like finishes like that. And I think Abe and Malky and Jorge and Dean would tell you the same thing. You know, they would much rather take a crazy knockout or a crazy finish than something that's longer and drawn out. So, you know, I was so psyched just to be part of this. You know, followed Gamebred for a long time. When I did my UFC tryout back in 2016, one of the fights on the card, it was the Stipe Cigano fight. God knows how many UFCs that is ago. But Gamebred fought on that card against Damian Maia. And
oh man.
Yeah, so like that was kind of my first introduction, at least, you know, to a lot of his style and stuff like that. And I ended up watching a lot of the Kimbo backyard stuff, you know, the early stuff, just to kind of get familiar with Gamebred. And it was like, wow, like this dude is 0 F's given pretty much to get to this level. But, you know, when you see somebody that works that hard to get to that point, you know, it's like Robin was drawing parallels to things, you know, like different disciplines. Like, you know, somebody might be like the CEO of a company might be passionate about, you know, about his stock trades or whatever, or about like what their bottom line looks like. You know, you and I are passionate about, you're a ring announcer. I'm a play-by-play guy. Like, this is what kind of revs the engine for us. So you naturally, I think organically, you end up developing just a mutual respect for guys that show, you know, passion for what they do, and also like just are almost psychotic in the way that they do it, because
that's true,
because they love it that much, and like they go for broke, you know, pretty much every night, you know, whether they're doing it, you know, in a fight or whether they're training or whatever it happens to be. So I've loved Gamebred for a long time, and it was awesome to get the call to actually be part of this. Like, I got a call on Monday. We worked out flight arrangements. I was on a plane on Wednesday. Thursday, I met you at weigh-in, and you know, Friday we did the show, and here we are 2 weeks later, you know, shooting the shit about it. So,
and we're going to do it again with Robin. We're going to do some more of these, just, you know, talk about a few fights, but I think we're just going to ride off on a rant. This might be a lot of fun just to do. So I'm all excited about it. I'm glad he said that. So I want to ask you, Joe Schilling got into a little altercation. I'm sure you saw the video.
Yeah.
So now, and I'm bringing this up because it's a hot topic. So Joe Schilling is in a bar in Fort Lauderdale. From what I saw in the video, he comes walking from behind a guy. They bumped into each other. And I'm going to say Joe Schilling bumped into him because Joe was looking forward and that guy wasn't facing. So he didn't even see Joe coming up behind him.
Right.
They bumped. The guy walked, Schilling kept walking. So the guy, probably a little drunk and tipsy, I see it all the time in the bars, probably made a smart ass comment because, he got bumped into. Schilling could have just kept walking. Schilling chose to turn around because he wanted to have an altercation. So that's my opinion. That's my take on it. And the comparison is Michael Bisping a week ago posted up on Twitter, got punched in the face by some random guy on the street because Mike was outside filming something and the guy didn't think he should be filming. The guy cracked him. Michael Bisping laughed and walked away, knowing what he's capable of doing to that guy.
Yeah.
Wow, Joe Schilling turned around and knocked this guy out cold, dropped him on his head. His head, they're saying he's got a head injury, according to his attorney. As far as I'm concerned, in the video, it shows they bumped into each other. Obviously, I'm saying unintentionally, because I don't think Schilling tried to bump into him. I don't think the guy tried to back into Schilling.
It didn't look like it.
Even if the guy said, watch your hip, watch it, fuckface, who cares?
Right.
So you turn around and just go, fuck you, and you just, turn around and walk away because you're a pro fighter. You know this guy is stupid and drunk, but you have to go up there and then to come out in public and say, I felt my life was in danger.
Was in danger.
That is the most archaic. Like when I read it in print, I felt the sarcasm behind that because that's just saying like, fuck you guys. Oh, I was in danger. I had to do it. Go fuck yourself.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, and like, not that this is a thing and it shouldn't be, because I mean, you and I know how many dudes that are, X height, X weight, and they pack a punch.
Yeah.
But like you look, just looking at the guy, he's like man on the street, man on the street, and like it was like a suit, right? He was dancing with some girl or something like that, and like they randomly end up bumping into one another, and it seemed like it wasn't like it was a crowded bar. That was the other thing. Like this is like a wide open space, pretty much.
I mean, the walkway between the tables, the way that's
narrow. Yeah.
So if you bump into the guy, so what?
But I'm saying it wasn't like there were like 100 people packed.
No,
they weren't packed in like sardines. There were maybe like 4 or 5 people from what I could see in the video in that space, and there was a narrow walkway. My first thought is like, dude's gonna get sued, like for a lot of fucking money, man. I don't know how if I'm on a jury or if somebody presents me that case that I like if and I guess maybe it would be a civil suit or whatever it happens to be.
Could be. Well, there might be
but maybe
charges now.
Maybe it ends up being a criminal case. Like if I'm looking at that and I'm on the jury and I watch that video, I'm like, your life was being threatened? Like, am I watching the same shit you are right now? Like, are you kidding me?
Guy didn't pull a gun or a knife,
no.
And he was smaller than you. What are you afraid of?
You bumped into one another. The guy bumped into you, or you bumped into him. The guy probably looked up at you and was like, yo, dude, what the fuck? I mean, because it God knows, like you've been in a crowded bar where somebody, like you bump into somebody and this didn't happen here, but you spill a drink on somebody.
Oh,
somebody spills a drink on you, and all of a sudden, like everybody gets Tito's muscles or beer muscles or whatever, and it's like, dude, what the fuck? Like what the fuck? Like we're gonna, and
Let's
like
go.
all of a sudden, everybody all of a sudden becomes 6'5", 265 pounds.
Been there.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like most of us have at one point or another in our.
I've been in the bar business for like 35 years, dude. So, I see
our testosterone fueled
lives.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, my reaction was pretty similar. It was like, wow, like I can't believe that's happening. So,
my life was in danger.
Yep. So, dude,
That'd be like your 3-year-old coming up and threatening me, like kicking me in the knee and fucking me going, oh my God, I was in danger because that 3-year-old kicked my knee. I mean, that's the equivalent of what I feel for this whole situation. Hey, listen, and I'll say this: I'm friends with Mike Perry. Mike Perry's had a few incidents. The whole thing that he got into smacked an old guy at a bar or something a while back. Connor hit an old guy at a bar. I don't condone those incidents. The one with Mike, the guy shoved at Mike. Once the guy shoved at Mike, I knew Mike was going to crack him. But that was different. And I'm not condoning what Mike did. He probably still should have just walked away knowing who he is. But, he was drunk and he made a stupid mistake and he owned it, Connor hit that old guy in the bar in Dublin.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was stupid. I mean, because he wasn't drinking proper 12, he wasn't.
So, dude, you brought up my 3-year-old. She's now getting home from dance class right now. So I'm the other one now who probably has to bolt.
Well, just don't let her kick you in the knee, bro. And if she does, man, remember, you're not in danger. Well, listen, Mr. Martucci, it was great meeting you and working with you guys. I truly, highlight of one of the highlights of the career. I've worked with a lot of different guys, and they're all cool moments, and everything. But I really felt like me, you, and Robin really hit on something vibe-wise. It was good, and
I agree.
The movies, and he's saying Islands in the Stream at Waffle House. I was like, were we at Waffle House when he did that?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
Yeah, because he busted out. I was like, how the fuck you know that shit? God damn. I just drew out the most random thing that popped in the head, and boom, he sings it with me. So, but anyway, I appreciate the work you did on the show and getting to be a part of it with you guys. That was awesome.
Yes,
I appreciate you taking the time today and showing us your little studio that you bought for $2,000, dude. That's a fucking killer deal. You could throw that on a trailer, right, and take that out on the road with you and do live shots at places. I'm guessing if you have the internet connection that you would need. But you could do that with that thing, is what I'm guessing, right?
Well, yeah, I'd have to take it apart. It's not
in theory.
It's not exactly transport friendly. If I
thought it was fall to wall
No. It's 7x7, and it's this is solid. This is solid wood over here. So.
And so when you're in there, nobody outside can hear you.
No,
not at all.
Well, to an extent, nothing portable is ever completely soundproof. But
I was like, man, because you could scream. The kids are making you honey, I got to go to the studio for a second.
I'm actually being held hostage down here. Every now and then they come down and the guy's like, it puts the lotion on its skin or it gets the hose again. Put the lotion in the basket.
Oh my God! I'm thinking right now of the little pod they used in the movie Showtime with De Niro and Eddie Murphy when they were doing. You see that movie Showtime?
Yes.
When they made them do the 5 minutes a day, and De Niro would just sit there and read the paper. That's what your little box reminds me of.
Yes, sir.
So this is where this is your safe space. You can say anything you want in that box.
In that box.
And Forrest also wanted me to let you know. He said you were an awesome guest today. And he goes, I've seen a lot of guests. He's been on here, forever. And then I get a shout out from this guy, Justin Sims. He says, Christopher James has the most consistent show in the game, period.
Love it.
Robin Black was icing on the cake. This is fucking boom. So if I am who they say I am, can we get a big pickup sponsor here? I'll bring in Matt with me every week, man. Let's get live on this shit. We need a big stage. Ariel just left ESPN. Me and Matt will fill in. We got this.
I'll take that check for sure.
Fucking right on, dude. I can't believe you left ESPN to go back to MMA fighting and it's kind of weird. But whatever, he's doing his thing. So, but I just felt that weird. I was like, man, I honestly thought he was going to go to the WWE or something, because he'd always loved wrestling. And now this would be an opportunity for him to do something, and Jimmy Smith is at WWE now doing Monday Night Raw, dude. And he's doing a great job. I love Jimmy Smith. So that's it. Mr. Martucci, anybody you want to shout out, sponsors? You got any sponsors? Any people you need to show some love to?
Dude, I'm small. I'm small time for now. We're working on something. We're always working on something.
Cool,
so,
man.
Hopefully I'll see you. I'll see you
in Mexico or Mississippi again.
In person. Who knows? A month, 2 months, whenever.
Absolutely.
Whenever the next one potentially is.
Hopefully we all get the call again.
Yes,
even if it's 3 days ahead of time, I'm in. Fuck it.
Dean Toole, do it. Do it, Dean.
And Dean is now officially blue checkmark verified. Fucking
That's
I
right.
saw that today. I was like, fucking right on, boss man.
Yep.
That's fucking awesome. I want one of those. I'm going to figure out how to get one. I don't know. I'm going
Well,
to try to buy it. But you know.
Perhaps we will meet again in Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. I gotta go.
All right, brother. Be well, man. Boy to go, that's Mr. Matt Martucci, star of Spaceballs 2. We need more money, man. We'll talk to him again real soon. And peace out, brother. All right, boys and girls, that's the show today. We are coming back tonight at 9 o'clock with the Renzo Hunt, the Juggernaut, BKFC star. Got into an altercation with Hector Lombard post-fight when Hector Lombard won the belt at BKFC 18. We're also going to talk with the reigning champ at 155 pounds, the Police Gazette Diamond Belt holder, and the undisputed Bare Knuckle FC champion, Mr. Luis Baboon Palomino. Until then, boys and girls, thank you for being a part of this afternoon. I appreciate it more than you guys could ever understand. And thanks for being a part of my life today and allowing me to be a part of yours. I can never put it into words, but just know it's right here. Until next time, which is just a couple hours away, I am Christopher James. And you kids, well, you all been cage side. Peace.
What happens if you lose, Nick?
Who the hell's Aquaman?
I get Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, I get sausage biscuits. Maybe you guys will see a little footage of that later on because we got some good stuff.
Fill up the deuces. There you go, baby.